What's the backstory with Carlos Hardy? Yeah.
Hello and welcome to What is the Backstory? I am your host, Carlos Hardy. Thank you for joining us. Go ahead and subscribe, make sure you comment at the end of this video. You'll probably ask, what does my shirt say? It says, if you can read this, you're standing too close. You know, we're in the age of COVID, so you have to be very careful. Today on What is the Backstory, we're going to be talking about Gabrielle Union and Terry Crews and their online Twitter battle. In the writer's room today, we're going to have a great interpretation of what's been going on with those two, and I hope you enjoy it. So that's going to be a little bit later, but let's get a little bit into what has happened or what has transpired up until this point. Okay, so if you've been watching, you know that Gabrielle Union and Terry Crews have been beefing online for the last, I would say, maybe couple of months, maybe 4 to 5 months. Gabrielle Union's contract was not renewed last year, and she felt some kind of way. She ended up stating these allegations that there were some racist things happening on set. There was a lack of inclusion and diversity on set. She also complained about there being this male chauvinistic attitude on set. So all that stuff was happening, but it was at the end of her contract that was not renewed. So a lot of people thought that it was a foul call in that she was not going to have her contract renewed, so she ended up stating these or alleging these different allegations. And I sometimes that it happens that way, where you think that a person is telling the truth and they may not be, and vice versa. So you don't know. I'm just here to give you my opinion, my assessment of what I think happened. So pretty much Terry Crews got involved because he is a person who was the host on AGT, which is America's Got Talent. And what happened was an interviewer asked Terry what he thought about her allegations about racism on the set. I'm going to read his direct quote, okay? His direct quote was, I can't speak to sexism because I am not a woman. Okay, but I can speak on behalf of any racist comments that was never my experience on America Got Talent. That was his viewpoint, and I think what happened was when he put that out, when he interviewed him, Gabrielle, she got very incensed by his statement. She pretty much told him he needs to stand up for what he's seen as well. But if he hadn't seen anything and things hadn't happened to him, how could he do that? That's really my point. I think a lot of times we're put in those precarious situations where we want our fellow peers to kind of join us in our fight, but sometimes it's just not their fight. You can't force someone to be in a battle or a fight with you, and you have to understand his perspective as well as being a co-worker on that show, being the host of that show. He has to pretty much it's his livelihood as well, so he can't just go off the rails and just say whatever about or agree with her about what she thought or what she feel allegedly has happened to her. I think that's the fault with this situation, is sometimes we think our fight is everybody's fight, and most times that's just not true. Her experience could have been just her experience with the bouts of racism and sexism, and that doesn't mean we don't need to investigate or launch some type of investigation. It just means that he may not have experienced that and she did. So you can't really fault him, in my humble opinion. You cannot really fault him for having his interpretation of what he saw on set, because he said it was pretty diverse on set. Terry is getting a lot of backlash, especially since the Black Lives Matter movement is happening, and the Me Too movement had happened, a couple years prior, and everybody from all types of industries, from entertainment to hospitality to retail. Everybody has come forth and pretty much stated that they've had women have had some type of male or man perform some type of misconduct against them. Unfortunately, that happens, and I'm not excusing their behavior. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying Terry Crews and the Gabrielle Union is right on the cusp of that, and then them being two African Americans. So in their mind, I know in her mind, she's thinking he should have had her back. But my only thing, this is my thing. My thing is, what if she would have got her contract renewed? Would she be in this position? Because if it was happening, like she said it was, and like I said, it's her story. If it was happening, then that the conversation to HR or whomever she needed to have a conversation with should have happened prior to that. I think the investigation should have happened privately, and I think openly she should have had that conversation after the investigation had concluded. But it seems to go the other way around. So you don't know if this was a ploy for her to garner a little leverage. You don't know if this was a ploy for her to because they didn't want to renew her contract. You just don't know. And like I say, I'm not saying that she's wrong, she's right, but it's just the way it looks. Remember, perception is everything, and that's just the way it looks in this moment. She could have been 100% truthful that, all men, lack of diversity, less inclusive, diverse environment, all that stuff could really be happening on that set. But at the same time, I just think an investigation should have happened prior to any type of verbiage, any type of, talking to the media, because the media is going to spin it. That's just how it works. And if that would have happened prior, she probably would have had a little more footing, a little more concrete, stability or structure to stand on. And I just think it's falling, it's crippling, and it's not something that is looked at right now as truthful. Terry also stated that AGT was the most diverse place that he's worked at in 20 years. And I don't know if he was talking about the actual talent, or was he talking behind the scenes with producers, the directors, the gaffers, the lighting people, whoever, the stage managers. Those are a different type of diversity and skill set. So a lot of sets may not be as diverse, and I think he was speaking to the talent. And so, of course, when you're going all across America, you're gonna find top talent who may not look just one way. You're gonna have an array of talent and diverse cast members out there. So and I think that's very, very important. Terry Crews, he's getting dragged all over Twitter. Like, people are talking about the things that he's talking about. I mean, he made a statement about the acronym for COON, Black Lives Matter, like just all of this stuff. And for me, I can tell that he doesn't have a publicist or someone in his ear that said, brother, give me the phone, because right now you're making a fool out of yourself in that sense. Because there is one thing you gotta understand when you are a celebrity, is that, especially in the age of social media, you have something called the angry mob, okay? And cancel culture. And what cancel culture is going to do is they don't care. They don't care your stance on certain things in your life. They think in their minds, since you are a celebrity, you must adhere to what they think, feel, watch, understand. That has to be it. And that's just how it is right now in this day and age. And I think saying less is more. A lot of celebrities just need to just sit back and not say a lot. Just say the bare minimum. Anytime you're fighting them back and forth, you're not going to win. So my suggestion to anybody, whether you are a YouTuber who's got some critical acclaim, some fame, or whether you're a celebrity out there, musician, whatever, less is more. Don't dig yourself into a gigantic hole. Just say less. Trust me. Don't fight. It takes two people to fight. And when you're constantly fighting and you're apologizing every 5 minutes to Gabrielle, it makes you look and feel guilty. You're constantly engaging in negativity. That's what you're going to get back. That's just how it works. There's no way to get around it. And as for Gabrielle Union, like I said, her experiences are her experiences. My only problem with any type of allegation like that is that sometimes we like to pull everybody into that situation, and sometimes that's just not people's experience. It's just not. And you could definitely have sympathy. You can or empathy, or you could definitely partner with someone or a nonprofit, AIDS awareness, cancer awareness, Black Lives Matter, whatever the case. You can sponsor with them, but you got to be very, very careful, because when you sign up for things like that, the Me Too movement or whatever, and we all need to be allies to that. But when you constantly sign up for that and you read about it and you write about it and you watch videos about it and you inundate yourself with that stuff, just know it's going to inundate you all around you. So now you're gonna know a friend who went through, a brother who went through, a relative, and that's just how the universe works. So my thing is, anything that you're involved in like that, don't try to tackle it or consume it fully. Take pieces of it. Do what you can with pieces of it. Don't consume yourself with this stuff, because if you do, it's going to eat you up inside out. I've watched it happen to people I know, my friends, celebrities, and all over the world. It continue to happen because people don't understand that you have to realize what is your fight. Everybody has a fight, and like I said, there's hunger, there's gay rights, there's police brutality, there's Black Lives Matter, there's cancer awareness. I mean, the list goes on. You got to figure out what is your fight. And once you figure out what your fight is, stay in your lane. With that being said, let's go into our writer's room. Now, remember, every story that I talk about, everything that I bring up, it has a backstory. Everything has a backstory. This backstory is what I'm creating. Remember, I'm a writer, so I'm creating this scene that I think happened. Let's go into the writer's room and check out Gabrielle Union and Terry Crews and how this Twitter beef started, in my opinion. Take a look. The sound of delicate tapping can be heard in a narrow hall. The hall is quite dingy and cramped, with a few pieces of rotting furniture lining the walls. A woman with oversized dark glasses and a scarf that conceals her identity huddles closely to the hotel room door. Her subtle murmur is faintly heard over the displeasing sound of a noisy vacuum in the narrow space. Open up. The eager housekeeper pushes the vacuum up and down the hall, ignoring the unidentified woman. The hotel door abruptly jolts open. A hand lunges out, grabbing the woman, forcefully pulling her into the room. The woman loses her footing and stumbles into the darkened room. Easy, Terry, jeez. She groans painfully. The mystery woman removes her scarf and glasses. It's movie actress Gabrielle Union. Her creamy cinnamon skin glistens under the horrible yellowish bulb hanging above her head. A man's muffled voice sounds through a restricted face mask. Even in terrible lighting, you glow, Gabby. It's a gift. I don't own it, she says unapologetically. The man's bulky muscles dance freely underneath his garments, forcing Gabrielle to redirect her eyes onto a painting on the wall that's less appealing. She tries her best to keep focus, shifting her eyeballs every few seconds. Feeling safe, the man finally removes his face guard. It's TV and film actor Terry Crews. You sure no one followed you here? He asked. Gabrielle removes her jacket and untucks her hair from her cap. She flings her locks into the open air, freeing herself. In this dingy place, the only person brave enough to follow me here is that homeless guy on the corner, and he had his doubts. Before taking a seat, she checks for soil spots on the bedding. Terry pulls the desk chair in front of her. He sits in silence, placing his phone on vibrate. His hands fold nervously across his lap. His legs have a mind of their own, rocking back and forth uncontrollably. Will you relax, Terry? This is done all the time. Gabrielle growls with a hint of irritation in her conclusion. Look at where we are, Gabby, a rat-infested hotel in downtown Los Angeles trying to strike a deal. Gabrielle shrugs her shoulders, hoping to calm the veteran actor's nerves, but he remains on edge. Gabrielle, you can't be seen here. We're in the middle of a Twitter battle. No, this is called contract negotiations. This could go good or it could go really bad. What do you mean by that? He says, cupping his chin. Gabrielle tosses a folded piece of paper onto the bed. She walks over to the wooden blinds to sneak a peek at the outside world. She's unbothered by the rapid number of homeless patrons surrounding the hotel. Terry snags the papers from the bed. This is your AGT contract. His eyes widen, his jaws ease lower and lower. They are paying you $5 million? I'm only getting $1 million. That's because negotiating isn't in your blood, Terry. Gabrielle circles Terry with a playful smirk on her face. Her hands slide down her voluptuous curves. She's more confident than ever. The film beauty uncoils her contractual strategy with a gratifying grin. My proposition is extremely simple. I challenge the studio with my accusation, you agree with my assessment, and we both walk away with millions. I don't know, Gabby. This could backfire. Gabrielle steps closer to Terry, purposely invading his personal space. Her barrel-shaped breasts seductively ooze through her shirt and brush up against the warmth of his chest. She's so close, Terry inhales a whiff of the Chardonnay lingering on her breath. He's too intimidated to step away. Her words swirl perfectly at the edge of his eardrum. If all else fails, we can use the black card. They're afraid of the black card. You just have to know when to play it. I'm not feeling that, Gabby. Sure you are. Gabby reaches for her phone, pulling up her voice messages. She positions her phone a few inches from Terry's ear. He unexpectedly hears his voice through the phone. You fucking taped us? No, it's just my insurance policy, Terry. Gabrielle grabs her coat and reaches for the doorknob. This is how you play the game, Terry. You got 24 hours. Terry watches Gabrielle exit the room. He's left contemplating his next move. This bitch is crazy. Hello and welcome back to What is the Backstory. So if you were with me in those last couple minutes, you've saw me read my interpretation of the Gabrielle Union and Terry Crews, Twitter battle that's happening right now, and his quote lack of support of her. I create stories, and that's something that I thought about. What if that actually happened, where she went to a hotel and they had this conversation and it went, haywire. There's always a backstory to every single thing. It doesn't matter what it is. That person that's in that line at Starbucks, that person that may be crossing the street, that homeless person you don't know, that person at the drive-thru at a McDonald's, whatever. Everybody has a backstory. Something has created that moment that you're living in now. Something has created the moment that you're living in now, and it's a backstory. We all have them, so we just have to figure out what they are. Let's do our tip of the day. The tip of the day, if you're at home and you're wanting to write anything, the tip of the day is to grab a great editor, okay? I found my editor on Thumbtack, okay? It's a freelancer, app, and you can go and find all types of people, artists and musicians and actors and editors and whatever you want to help you in any of your projects. So I ended up finding my editor there. So the tip of the day is make sure you have an editor that understands you. It's very, very important. If you are a writer, an editor helps you with your story. They can also be that consultant that can help you mold your story, okay? So always have a good, productive, outgoing, experienced editor. Thank you so much for joining me in the writer's room and What is the Backstory. I'll be bringing you more stories. Comment on what you thought about Gabrielle and Terry meeting in that hotel room and having that conversation. Give me your comments. I have more stories, and I will continue to write because that's something that I do frequently and something that I absolutely love. And I hope you guys enjoyed the stories. Until next time, I'm Carlos Hardy, and I'll chat with you later. And this has been What is the Backstory?
What's the backstory with Carlos Hardy? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't forget to subscribe.